Hi, welcome to my channel Crocheted by Eilidh. Today we are going to be making the Barra beach bag, which is a mesh tote bag perfect for summer. It is made by using double crochets, triple crochets, and you'll also need to chain. It is perfect for a beginner and is worked up in easy rounds. For this project you will need DK weight yarn. I'll be using this acrylic yarn, but I recommend you use cotton DK like this one from Emu. You'll need 2 balls of it in order to make a bag the same size as mine. The cotton is much better because it doesn't stretch the same way that acrylic does. You'll need a 4mm crochet hook, a needle to sew on the ends, and of course some stitch markers and some scissors. To start off with, we need to chain the length of the bottom of the bag on here. In order to make a bag this size, which is 34 centimeters wide, you'll need to chain 65. I will be making a smaller bag though, so I will be chaining less. So, start off with, you take your yarn, start off with the slip knot, and you're going to chain a 65 or the length that you want your bag to be. It doesn't matter how many chains you end up with, if it's odd or even, it just needs to be the length you want it to be. So I'll come back at the end of my chain. So I've now chained 40, and you're then going to chain 2 more. You're then going to double crochet in the 3rd chain from your hook, and you're going to do that right the way along until your final chain. Alright, and once we get near the end of our chain, in the final chain, it's there, you're going to do 3 double crochets into the same gap. So that's 1, and then you're going to do another 1, 2, and 3. We are then going to do double crochets all the way along the other side of the chain. So starting there, and if you can wrap a little loose bit of yarn there into your double crochets as you go along. It's a wee bit tricky, sometimes the tail is a bit caught. When you get back to the chain that you did your very first double crochet in, you're going to do 2 double crochets in that chain to make a total of 3 double crochets like at the other end. You're then going to slip stitch in to the first double crochet. And then chain 3. You're then going to turn your work, and you're going to do a triple crochet into the stitch right there, basically the same stitch that your 3 chains come from. Okay, you're then going to do one chain. This is starting the mesh pattern. See on the back there, so we've done our line of double crochets and we are now starting the first row of the triple crochets and gap to create the mesh pattern. So you're then going to do a triple crochet, but for this one, because we're on the corner, you're going to do it in the stitch right next to your first triple crochet. You're not going to leave a gap. And I'm going to do a chain. For this one, we are then going to leave a gap and do our triple crochet. You're then going to repeat your pattern of chaining, missing a gap, and then doing a triple crochet in the next stitch. Ooh. Somehow got all tangled. There we go. And you're going to continue that all the way along until you reach the other end. It's okay, so I'm now getting near the end of the first side. So I'm still leaving a gap here and doing my triple crochet. And then for the next one, I'm going to do it in the next stitch. I'm not going to leave a gap. And same for the next two. So I'm just going straight in there, not leaving a gap. Still doing the chains in between each triple crochet though. Alright, so see we have 4 there. There's all no gaps in the stitches between them. I'm now going to start again leaving the gap. So I'm going to leave that stitch there and triple crochet in the next one. Alright, so I'm nearly at the end there, so I'm just going to skip that one stitch there and do a triple crochet in the last stitch there. So you might have ended up with slightly different numbers on the end depending how much you actually chain to start with, but as long as you have just 2 or 3 round the end with no gaps, there I have 1, 2, 3, 4 on each end. As long as you have 2, 3 or 4 together, it doesn't matter. I'm then going to, well, I've done my chain, I'm then going to slip stitch into my first 3 chains there, and I'm then going to chain 3, and that is our second row, first row of the mesh complete. You're then going to turn your work there. So I'm going to triple crochet into this first gap here, and then going to chain 1. I'm going to triple crochet into the next gap. There you go, and you're going to continue this all the way around until you get back to your second last gap. Alright, you're nearly back. So we're going to do a triple crochet in this stitch here, or this gap, sorry, it's not really a stitch, and chain, and then you see here we have our starting 3 chains, so they effectively act as the stitch for this gap here, so we are then going to just slip stitch into this gap to finish our row. So now you should have 3 rows. You're then going to chain 3, just like the rows before. You're going to turn your work, and you're going to start with your first triple crochet into this gap here, and you're then going to basically repeat what we did for row 3. Remember, when you get to the end of this row, you leave that gap there, you do your last triple crochet in there and chain, and slip stitch into those chains. I'll come back once I finish this row. So that is me just finished my 4th row, or 3rd row of the mesh stitch. So you're going to continue this for as many rows as you would like. So for this bag I have 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 20 rows of the mesh triple crochet stitches. So once you've finished all 20 rows, or however many you want to do, and come back and I will show you how to make this top section here and the straps of the bag. Alright, so you should now have the number of rows you want. I just have 3 here, but I'm now going to show you how to make the top part of the bag. So you finish there when you've slip stitched into your chains from the row before, and you're going to chain 2 and then turn your work. I find it easier to just fold the bag around at this point, so I'm always working from the outside. So for this we are going to go back to doing double crochets. So you're going to do a double crochet in that first gap there, and then you're going to do a double crochet into the top of that triple crochet stitch from the row before. Then a double crochet in the gap, and a double crochet in the stitch. You're going to repeat this pattern all the way around the top of the bag until you get back to this gap here before your chains. Okay, so we're going to put our final double crochet in the gap just there, and then you're going to slip stitch into your chain there, and then going to just put a little stitch marker in there to hold that. So we are now going to move on to crocheting or chaining the straps. So what we need to do is we need to insert a chain here, chain the length of the strap back down on the other side, so you will need to count it in from the side and mark where your chains are going to go for the straps. There you go. So as you can see, I have marked where my chains are going to start and end. So what I suggest you do is count how many stitches you have along one side. side 44, so I then counted an 11 from each side and placed my stitch markers. So effectively you've got a quarter, half and another quarter. You can place the stitch markers though wherever you like, just make sure it's the same distance in from either side so that the straps are even. Now for this next section, if you have another ball in the same colour, I suggest you use that to do the chains so you don't have to cut this section, because we will then need to do that to do our double crochets along here and round the chains for the straps. Or if you don't have another ball, you can always try and pull the centre out from your first ball if that is possible to do. So what you're going to do is a slip knot, in your other ball. You're then going to insert it into your stitch marker. So for this next row I will be turning and I will be crocheting along this way. So I suggest that you would insert the start of your chain here. So insert it there, pull it through to do a slip stitch, and you're then going to chain. And it doesn't matter how long your chain is, just however long you want your straps to be. So I think I chained about 30. You're then going to insert your hook into where your second stitch marker is. Make sure it's definitely on the same side. And then going to pull it through both loops, do a slip stitch, and then I'm just going to do another stitch there just to make sure it's secure. And take your scissors, cut this end, and pull it tight. So as you can see, my chains are quite short. I'm just doing it as a wee demonstration of what the handle should sort of look like. As you can see from this bag, my straps are much longer. I think for this I probably chained over 100. So you're then going to do the same for the strap on the other side. And just remember, the way you're doing it is, oh, I nearly lost that, so that when you start doing your double crochets for the next row, your chain is facing out the way. It makes it much easier to do your stitches into. And the other thing is, make sure once you do all your chains and you fasten at the other end, that your chain isn't twisted somewhere in the middle. That make it much more complicated. I will come back once I have finished chaining the second strap. Okay, so I finished my second chain for the straps, and you're now going to go back to the end you left from the row before, and you're going to chain 2. So for this bit, we are going to do double crochets all the way along here. You're then going to do double crochets along this chain and back down, and basically repeat that on the other side all the way around. So you start off with a double crochet. So you're just going to double crochet in every stitch from the previous row. So you've got to the stitch where the chains start. So I would suggest you do 1 double crochet in the same stitch that the chains start in, and you're then going to miss that first one which connects the chain to the stitch, and do a double crochet in that first proper chain. There you go. And you're then going to continue this all the way along your chain. Alright, so I've nearly finished the chain strap. I know this bit can be really fiddly and it will take quite a long time, but it is worth it in the end, hopefully. So I just done a double crochet into that last proper stitch there, and then I'm then going to double crochet into the stitch where the chain is joined. And you're then going to double crochet round until you get to the next strap. Then if you can, I always like to crochet this loose end in as I go. Makes things much easier once you are finished. Alright, I will come back when I do the next strap and you're nearly at the end. So for the next strap you just repeat exactly what you've done for this one. Alright, so now you should be nearly back, and you're going to do your last few double crochets up till there, and then the one next to where your chain starts, and you're going to slip stitch into that chain there. Do another slip stitch, and to fasten up you're just going to cut your yarn, pull that through nice and tight, make sure it's secure, and you just need to sew in at any loose ends you might have, and that is you finished. So your finished bag should look something like this. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope your bag turned out well as well. If you like this, please like and subscribe, and comment down below what I should make next.